You are now entering the box. Hey, we are back on a new episode here of Inside the Box. Today we have Cory Boatman of Ace Sign Company joining us.
Hello, Andrew. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you for coming. So for those that don't know this, right out of college, Ace gave me an opportunity, and I worked there for about 6 years.
Yeah.
And
6 years.
Yeah, it's crazy to believe.
How old were you when you started?
I graduated in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
So it would have been like I did internship first, so I don't know how that would have worked out.
Like during your senior year?
Yeah, the second half. So it should have been right around there.
Ryan, we need you already.
Pull that calculator up back there. No, but Cory is now an owner.
Yes.
Originally just of the family, but recently acquired the business, which is awesome.
Everything has changed.
Pull that. Give a.
What's my distance?
There you go. As long as you're steady, then you're good.
Oh, I'm not steady.
Yeah. So Cory was my supervisor and teammate, and just all around partner in national accounts, baby.
In the genesis of national accounts, the creation, the beginning.
So when I first started there, I was doing just some random graphic design, random work up front, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then eventually, I guess I've never asked you about this. How did that start? I know we started getting some accounts that were like more like family video, but like, did you guys have a conversation
pre-planned?
Just
strategy.
Because eventually, because I was mostly working with Todd for a little bit there,
right?
And then I kind of transferred over to working with you.
No, our marketing strategy for the longest time has been unlock the doors and answer the phone. So and not miss any opportunity. Obviously, online presence has changed all of that now, but it started with my sister, Amy. I'm not sure if you met Amy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she bought into the Apricot Lane franchise.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yep, and her girlfriend here in town, Laura, became a franchisee and introduced us to corporate through the sign process because she had worked at Ace for about 15 years, prior to going out and doing that. And so, of course, she was going to get a sign from family. And that relationship, they had talked about some of the challenges of an upcoming franchise, that they had different looking signs at different locations. Branding. And they wanted to really get that branding consistent. And so we jumped on that opportunity, which very quickly led to the need for drawings, and not in your typical turnaround time drawings, like quickly, revisions back immediately, which led to my campaign going, hey, that young kid down there, how about he comes up here? And then next thing you know.
That's right. I forgot Apricot Lane was kind of the lead into some of that.
Yeah. Well, the family video movie gallery change out was what really
amplified things.
Oh my goodness.
That was a busy time. So before we get into this too much, I'm going to not forget my question that I try to ask. Hardest part of being a business owner. I guess you could call you guys a small business. I don't know if I'd call you a small business these days, but
definitely.
So we'll revisit that at the end. But keep that in the back of your head.
I know I've listened to your podcast before, and I knew that question was coming.
Ponder it.
Yeah.
So Apricot Lane. I don't know if people know what that is or not. We had one here for a while, but that was a little clothing brand. How are they doing? They're
weathering
out there.
Yeah, they've been opening a few. I would say they've opened 3 during this pandemic.
Surprising.
It's very surprising.
It's good that we're able to keep that moving. They probably had them in the plan, so they're like, well, we can't abandon them now.
I think so, too. They're probably pre-planned, and they followed through. I think that, and we're not involved in a lot of closures of there are a lot of businesses, when they close, their signage is large enough that, we get involved. So we've debranded quite a few of the national type accounts, but Apricot Lane is one. Honestly, it was one of the first franchises, and we've never been involved in
simple to get that stuff down.
and taking one down. So
that was that was kind of cool too, because that was like a unique way, like a change in the signs with the letters, the dimensional letters, the what do we call it? The prismatic with the LEDs recessed.
We
and
did.
Everything.
We wanted to kind of create a little barrier to entry of competition within that little relationship. So we designed a letter that was unique enough and hard enough to manufacture that it really tipped the advantage towards us. Because at that time we were campaigning to work with them and they had committed to us, but it wasn't an exclusive relationship.
Lock it in.
Yeah. So we were still getting, and rightfully so, if you buy into a franchise and they say you have to buy from these vendors, that would make me very uncomfortable. I would want to price check. I would want to, make sure that I wasn't being taken advantage of. And so it was important for us to make sure that when that inevitable check happened, that our prices were low, if not better than what they could get locally. So yeah, it worked out really well. It was a lot of fun.
That was
just the whole beginning when we were, creating the POs.
It was almost like a new business. It felt like a little bit.
It was, yeah.
So we jumped right into that. Let's rewind a little bit. Ace Sign Company. Obviously, I know the history quite a bit from working there for 6 years, but started in 1940.
1940. Yes, that is correct. 1940. My great-grandfather and his father, so my great-great-grandfather, had just recently stopped working with another sign company at the time. They were painters there, and they needed to do something different because the other sign company, which was in the family, was a great uncle or great uncle. So there was some blood in that relationship. It was a company called Horn Sign Systems. So when that started to kind of go downhill during the Depression, because this company, they were huge. They had like 100-some employees. Oh, wow. And they specialized in billboards. Huh. And so
I didn't even know that. I don't think.
Yeah, it was when billboards were newer, when the concept of them was, and they had a lot of land leases. So when the Depression hit and the economy after World War II, when that started going downhill, they still had all these land leases to make good on, and not many advertisers that wanted to buy in. So they had a tremendous amount of layoffs, and it got to the point where paychecks weren't steady. So that's when my great-grandfather and great-great-grandfather decided to go and start to do things on their own, and that led to creation of Ace Sign Company in 1940 out of their garage.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's crazy. Not a lot of businesses, and especially family businesses, last that long. It's awesome to see. Yep. So now it's gone through great-grandparents, your grandparents, your mom.
Correct. Yep.
And now
we're fourth
generation.
Yeah, fourth generation of Ace Sign Company, and then my great-great-grandfather that helped my great-grandfather start Ace Sign Company, he was a part owner at the time of Horn Sign Systems. So, we could 4 generations to Ace, but what I'm trying to kind of connect there is in the sign industry and as an artisan, it goes back 5th, and then there's even a relationship beyond that where our great-great-great-great-grandfather was painting carriages. His name was August Brand, and he had a carriage company.
That's cool.
Helps me understand why this is what I do.
The transition.
Yeah, and
I guess I'll keep doing it.
Yeah, well, it's in your DNA. You know what I mean? Like it's just. We obviously.
Do you guys have this documented somewhere?
Yes, we're starting.
Keep educating the kids.
Well, we're starting to document it better, but we kind of questioned why it wasn't always documented. But you got to kind of put yourself in the lens of the founders at the time, like say of Ace Sign Company. My great-great-grandfather, well, he wasn't very happy that they had to start Ace Sign Company per se, and so they didn't want to claim the Horn Sign Systems.
I feel like also like you don't think about what you're doing at the time maybe as a big deal.
You're just doing it.
Yeah, just grinding away, and then eventually it's like, man, I wish nowadays it's a lot different because there's just just so many pictures,
right?
And it's like, oh, look at this.
That's
transition.
true. You got
like,
hindsight.
Like I go through my phone and I could literally see my kids, grow up now.
No, you're
I
right.
take pictures at least once, if not every other day of them.
Yeah, no, that's a fact.
So it's kind of crazy to think about how that's changed.
I've heard my grandfather say that he never expected, his kids, my uncle and my mother, to be a part of the sign company.
Mm-hmm.
So like, yeah, there's an example where they were a part. So my grandma and my grandpa bought the company from my grandmother's parents, and then the same occurred with my uncle and my mother, and then the same has now occurred with me and my two cousins, Scott and Todd Bringett. So, that, like you said, in hindsight, it's obvious, but even though my great grandfather was a recipient of the opportunity to buy the business from a great, he still didn't expect his kids to want to do it.
Right.
And I don't know that.
And I read a statistic one time, and I think what was it? It was either 3 or 4 generations. Like most family businesses do not make it past it was a crazy 80% or something don't make it past 3 generations. Whether it's someone just messes it up, or they don't want to do it, or it gets sold, or whatever the reason is. But
it took about a year of It took about a
fine.
year of us owning it before pandemic started, and about 80% of our customers were forced to close. So
that's crazy. I didn't even think about that.
No, well, I'm sure we'll screw it up somehow.
Let's hope not.
A lot of generations before us managed it, but
things are also changing a lot.
Very much.
I mean, for the longest time, it was your cabinets, your basic cabinets and signs, and now you guys are in the custom designs and the marquees and all the the crazy stuff that is a lot different than I think it used to be.
The marquees are probably as throwback as you can get.
That's
know
true.
what I mean?
Although there's a lot of new technology in them with all the lighting and stuff you guys are doing, and LED and color changing.
No, you're right. It's an integration of the old and the new technology for sure. But technology is amazing. It's what's allowed us to work outside of our boundaries, Springfield area. I remember when I first started at Ace, not to date myself too much, but I remember we were still mailing out quotes and estimates and 8x11 manila envelopes and and handwriting them and stuff. So that technology has changed and helped in that regard, but it's also scary because it can hurt you too. I don't read a lot of street signs and highway marker signs and highway signs anymore. I let my phone tell me. It says take your next right, and I'm taking it whether I'm driving into a field or not. You know what I mean? I'm pretty trusting on that.
You ever seen that Office episode? You ever watch that?
Yeah.
Where Michael Scott's like, Dwight, it's telling me to go straight, and you just drive straight into a pond.
You do it. You do. How many times has it steered you wrong?
We were driving to Maine one time with my wife, and I'm following it, and then I realized it's like at some point it changed my route, and it was taking me up through Canada. Oh. And I was like, what the hell is going on? Right? I was like, I noticed at the last minute, otherwise it would have taken us, take us way out of the way. And I didn't have a passport with me. I wouldn't be able to go through there. But
Not good.
Again, perfect example though.
Yeah. So, to say that other types of signs aren't going to someday be impacted by what we know technology impacts now, I mean, that wouldn't be a realistic statement. So,
right.
It's important
Just
that we
mix in as it changes.
Yeah, continue to expand our portfolio. Last thing you want to do is have a huge portfolio. You want to specialize in what you're good at and try to focus in on it, but that's also dangerous.
Got to be able to hit the other areas too, and kind of where you started at.
Yeah.
How so you started off, and I mean, I know this, but you started off doing kind of the service side of things.
Yeah,
out there in the field.
I started working for Ace 3 days after I graduated high school in 1995. Yep, we graduated.
Were you coming in though as a kid and stuff, like hanging out in the
office? Yeah. No, in summers we weren't exactly allowed to stay home and play on the block.
Yeah.
We would go down to the shop. Probably ever since I would say 10, we'd go down to the shop and during the summer and sweep or do whatever. And then once my sister got old enough, we were able to sleep in a little bit in the summers, but then ride our bikes down there.
That's cool.
It was, I didn't know any better,
right.
So it didn't bother me. It was fun, and got to hang out with different employees, at the time that were painting or that were going out and doing vinyl and stuff. So I'd get to ride along, get out of the shop. And so that was nice. But as far as full time, I started in about 3 days, literally 3 days after I graduated high school, and, took a nice little vacation there, 3 days, and haven't looked back since. But I did, I didn't start directly in service. I started doing inside stuff, vinyl related stuff for at least. See, I was young. I graduated as a 17-year-old. Weren't you young too? Were you young for your
when I graduated high school? Mm-hmm. No, it was about the same. Yeah, it was. I know some people did graduate early, but I wasn't one of them.
Well, some people graduate as an 18-year-old, or some people graduate as a 17-year-old.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. Well, I had an early birthday, so yeah, I would have been 18 when I graduated.
No. So I want to say I worked inside until I was about 19 or so, until they trusted that I could get out of the shop and not, hurt myself or anybody else. And they put me in install, and I wanted to move to go out into install.
Be out in the field and
it was what
outside.
Well, yeah, the guys
until it's winter time.
Yeah, you'd see the huge signs leaving the shop, and then the guys with cranes, putting them on the trucks and going out, and going way up high in the air. It was like, okay, that's what I want to do.
I think that was when I started working there. That was one of the major. It was funny because I remember trying to figure out what do we got over here. We got a little Cory brought a little.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
Here. No, you're good.
Yep.
We got Distill.
What kind brewery. Is that? Shop local. Mango India Pale Ale.
All right, let's try that out. The
Ryan.
Thank you, sir.
Does our Jamie want one?
He can have one if he wants. You want
one? Yeah.
When I was looking for an internship. Obviously my field was graphic communication was technically what my major was or whatever. But, I was into graphic design and stuff. And I was literally just driving around the town like, all right, where the hell am I going to apply at? What am I going to do here? And it was just funny because I drove down and past your guys' place, and I was just like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Yeah.
No one drives down 4th Street.
Yeah, so wrote it down as a place to apply, but it was once I got in there, I was like, I had never even thought of this as a business in general, like something that people are doing. Like so many things going on there, from the fabrication and the painting and the vinyl and the installation and the service, and I was just like, holy shit, this is crazy.
It is crazy, and that's why, like I said, it's nice to know your ancestry and how they got there.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you. Transition from carriages to, carriages went away. So what do? You start lettering vehicles, and you just kind of keep transitioning. And so kind of knowing that kind of helps me understand where we are now, and also recognize to stay, totally aware so that you know where to move next.
Yes. And I did notice that too, near the end of, my time there. I at least saw that, like, you and Todd and Scott and everybody were trying to make sure that the company was adapting as it needed to, because that's probably one of the biggest things that kills a business too, not adapting.
Right.
We deal with that now here. Like, there's still people that I have to convince, like, you have to be on social media. Like, literally, you're not going to make it as a business if you're not using social media and online advertising. It's just the way the world is nowadays.
That is a fact, and I can somewhat understand people's hesitancy to get involved with it, because there is, especially now, more and more lately, there's a negative connotation when you say social media. There needs to be like another name for when you're talking about business advertising and e-commerce and stuff, because you say social media and people think of, Trump blasting out crap on Twitter and, that kind of stuff.
But, well, it's scary. I have a customer right now who's he did something wrong on his personal profile, and they shut him down, and his business is literally dying because he can't use, and I'm trying to help him. I'm talking with him, trying to work it out. I think we're getting it worked out. But his business, he's literally losing thousands of dollars. He's got bills to pay. His business is basically dying because that's all he did was basically rely on social media.
Right.
And Facebook specifically.
Right.
So that's one of the things I push a lot now is, like, not just now. I mean, I always have, but stuff people have to choose where to spend their budgets. You know what I mean?
Right.
But being a little bit diversified, you know what I mean? At least
letting professionals like you handle the Facebook page and have a personal page where you can get in
exactly.
trouble. Or do they connect that? Does Facebook go as far as to connect a personal page with a business page?
I try to suggest to have a backup owner of your page or a backup admin, because you know, if you get banned then and you don't have access to your Facebook page, then and nobody else does, you can't add anybody at that point.
Right.
So I'm like, try to have a backup owner.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. Well, they got a lot of power these days. I mean, they just blocked Trump out completely. It's like, oh, you're not talking anymore. He's gone.
In addition to their competition, you know, if you wanted to give Parler that much credence that they were up and coming as a competitor to Facebook, and then they get taken down. Now, I'm not saying Facebook took them down, but, you know, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of power that is held right now by those companies, and is very scary.
Yeah. But in general, I mean, I personally think that, like, I think social media should be 18 and over, and it should pretty much just be a free for all. Personally, let people say what they want. I was watching it was a Joe Rogan podcast actually, and he had the head of the AOA. What is it? I don't know. He's the old head of one of the government departments, and he said something that really hit home with me. He said the price of free speech is hate speech and the negative stuff you see. So in order to be able to, you and me, to be able to say whatever we want, speak freely, say what we want, say our opinions, there's always going to be those people that say something negative. And unfortunately, that's just the price of us being able to speak freely, which was pretty interesting. That was an interesting way to look at it.
No, and I think they have a different classification for hate speech too. I think, you know, there's certain speech that is considered illegal, you know, or hate speech, you know, that people are refrained, I believe. I don't know. I need to look into the Bill of Rights a little more, but I do think there are certain things that if you say, then you are liable for, you know, for like that.
Talking about murdering somebody.
yeah. Or, you know, any type of hate speech from that standpoint. I do think, but also I agree that it shouldn't be moderated. I don't know to what degree, but to the extent that it is, because at the end of the day, you have to risk hurting someone's feelings or getting your feelings hurt to learn something or to engage and to banter with somebody. You know, when you learn something new, especially if it's something that you're passionate about, like politics or religion or sports or business, if you learn something new, that means that something you previously thought, because you're passionate about it, so you previously had an opinion, something you previously thought has to die, has to go away.
It's hard for people to let go of that.
And it's hard to let go of that. And you risk being offended in the process of defending that old idea. But you can't grow without that risk, without the risk of being offended. And you have to allow that. And if you hide from that or control that in any way, it's only at your own peril. You know, it's only you staying.
Never going to grow.
Yeah. You're staying in your own little space. You know, and
it's crazy.
As a business owner, you can't do it. As an individual, you can't do it. You know,
I say to people all the time, I'm like, yeah, I don't really have an opinion on that. I'm like,
but you do.
When you look at the Facebook world, you know, like the last thing I need to the worst thing for me would be to say something, get my account banned. Right. You know what I mean? Like for me, that would be a detrimental situation.
Absolutely.
so I mean, I have things in place to kind of back that up, like I've talked about, in case for some reason that were to happen. Yeah. But it's just kind of walking that line, and you also don't want, you know, if say I think this, but this potential customer doesn't agree with that. Like I don't want them to not. Like I don't want to not do business because I have different.
No, you're right. Crazy. We're talking about cancel culture.
Yeah.
And I had concerns coming on to this podcast, and you know, and talking about too many, you know, taboo type subjects because of the same thing. But it's disingenuous, in my opinion, to skirt around things that people care about. You know, and for as many. You know, and if you're just a really unsophisticated person, and which you're not, you know, but if said person is just unsophisticated to the extent where they're just spouting off just ignorance and you know, and just any form of ignorance, then customers should probably stay away from that person. You know what I mean? But yeah, just because if you're putting out thoughts that you're knowledgeable about and compassionate about for
or
however many,
or at least you're open to somebody saying something, be like, okay, let's talk about that. Like,
that's why we talk about things, so we can learn, so we can share information. Like what does Andrew know that I don't know? Like that's what's so exciting and compelled me to come here beyond my fears. It's like, what's Andrew been up to? What's he learned lately? What can he share that I can reciprocate with something?
And that's one of the reasons I even do this is I love one, you and I have known each other for a long time, but just having the opportunity to sit down and talk with somebody for an hour for, whatever, you don't make that,
no.
Especially nowadays, it's hard to do, and especially as business owners or whatever.
How many times have we said we need to have dinner?
Yep.
And we haven't been able to, but this is, we can call this work, right?
Mm-hmm. It is. And we're working hard over here. Cheers to that.
Cheers to that. No, but the cancel culture is definitely a scary thing, but you do need to be able to put your thoughts out there, because for as many people that play that identity politics game and say, oh, Andrew said he supports Trump, from whatever lens you might have been looking through at that time.
I don't specifically support either party, disclaimer.
Right. He has a Trump tattoo. He doesn't. That's false. No, but I mean, again, or if you said I support Bernie Sanders, and then someone hears that and then they say, well, that means that you must like socialism and you must be all about, then you must not know anything about the.
It's crazy the world's gotten to that point.
It's that identity politics game where if you say one thing that allows me to categorize you into this space, now I know everything about you, and I can just project all this stuff onto you and then wipe you out.
It's funny. My wife always, every time people are like arguing online or anything, she's like, I can't believe this. All I want to just respond to everybody is, what's she always say? Peace and success or something. That's what she's always saying. Peace and success. Yeah. Just everybody get along and work to be successful. It's like, this is funny. But
no, it's definitely, I think technology, we got onto this subject talking about, technology and the changes. And I will say, back to business, Ace did not waste time when like painting turned into vinyl.
Yeah.
That was one thing that my great grandfather kind of led the way, and he was a painter from way back, but we were the first people to get a plotter and to start cutting the letters out of vinyl versus painting them on.
Vinyl is such that change. I don't know, just like watching just how vinyl worked when I worked there, and between the printing and the cutting and everything. It's such a cool thing. Yeah. Like, I don't even do that, but I've just
robotics.
I've just like wanted a vinyl printer and like plotter just to be able to like do my own stuff for just random stuff.
My goodness. I can only visualize.
This whole place would be covered in vinyl.
Yeah. Ryan, don't let Andrew get a plotter. No, and then my uncle, Dennis Bringett, was huge in technology. He still is. The newest phones that came out, he wanted them. He pushed and pushed to get us to transition from handwriting estimates to computers.
Really?
And he was the one that pushed that. And so when Todd was being raised, technology was a huge subject, and he gravitated right towards that. So that's kind of his. If it was up to me to have us into technology, we would be very far behind. And you had to turn my phone off for me when I got here. Okay, so
it was
self-admitted.
I honestly, I think when I don't remember if it was this or an update, but I literally had to look up myself. Like, how do I turn this damn thing off now?
What I didn't tell you was I tried for like 10 minutes in the car before I came in. So, but no, the tech. Yeah, the social media, the technology, it's good and bad.
Yep,
it's good and bad.
Yep, everyone's just got to find that balance, man, and don't let it affect you. It's like the negative side of it, Just gotta use it for good.
And the positive side is learning. Like, I've been learning so much about stuff from YouTube videos.
What were you working on? You were learning to use SketchUp, I think, when I was there at the end. I was like, what, are you about to be a 3D modeler over here, Cory?
Yes. Yeah. No, when you were there, when we were talking about doing signs for simple CBD, that's when I was learning that. Yeah. Like when you were.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't when you left. I was not doing that. I was doing email then.
So when I left, you were still... you were doing quite a bit. Well, especially with me being gone, so I was gone for a while there with my dad.
Yes.
You were doing a lot with the national
Yes.
account stuff still. How quickly did you still mess with that? Do you still mess with that a lot, or is it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still very much involved in the national accounts. That's the only degree of sales I get involved in is with that, because it's got such a strong manufacturing backbone, which is why I was into it before. It wasn't, you weren't redesigning a logo or a sign for, you know, each sale. It was, you know, that's the biggest thing that we did was we standardized for each franchise. We tried to come up with 3 different sign sizes and try to get them to stick to that, so that it was, those things were value engineered around production capabilities. And again, you weren't trying to, you know, reinvent something for every customer. So that's, I definitely gravitated towards that, not being a you know, software, not a software, but a designer, a graphic designer at the time. So
it was a pretty interesting process for those that care or would want to know. It was basically we'd get a new location. We'd have to figure out, depending on locations, you're basically allowed a certain size of sign. So we would have to determine, you know, standard locations about what they're going to be, and we'd come up with the different square footage. So we'd kind of have a multiple options.
Did we have Google Earth then?
Yeah,
we did. Okay.
That was a huge thing. We'd usually jump on at where their location was, see it on Google Earth, and just imagine not having that alone when we talk about technology.
Yeah,
like somebody would give us an address,
right,
and we'd literally be like, "Oh, hold on, let me pull that up," and we get to see the store.
Right,
most of the time, unless it was a brand new build, but get to just look at the storefront they're talking about and start talking design, sales, size. It was just crazy.
And that really opened the door big time.
Yeah.
You know? Otherwise, it was, I remember as a local sign company doing surveys for other national sign companies before we had the opportunity to become one. And the surveys, we would use digital cameras, not digital cameras. Well, we gravitated towards that, but Polaroid cameras, because they wanted them quick. You know, they didn't want to go 35 millimeter at Walgreens, so we were using Polaroids, and you'd send them, mail them to them next day, you know, whatever. But
how would they do? How would you know what your sign was going to look like before the digital? Would they do a rendering?
Hand drawn.
Would they just draw on the picture?
Yep. We had a designer that would hand draw everything.
Huh.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah. No, it was.
And you probably had to use that scale. I hated that scale ruler, man. I still don't know how to use that thing. I'm like, what do we do here? Flip it to this other side?
Right. That will be a thing of the past here for too long, I have a feeling.
That was, I was trying to, what were we doing? I think it was some vinyl graphics I was having Holly do. And I was trying to explain the whole like scaling up the picture in Illustrator, and it was just kind of a weird process, you know what I mean? I don't have to use it that much these days, but that was always interesting. Like learning that was a big thing that I remember thinking that was really interesting. Like, oh yeah, scaled, why not?
Yeah.
The little 12-inch magnet you'd stick on everything.
Yep.
But with that national account stuff though, man, I feel like we took that off pretty quick.
Yeah.
From Apricot, and then Family Video was changing over. They were buying up a lot of the
movie galleries.
The movie galleries.
And that was an existential need for them. If they would have allowed movie galleries to fold at the same time that a majority of the blockbusters were folding, I think there was a strong concern at that time, because Redbox wasn't, I don't believe, in the picture then, but there was a strong concern they'd stop making CDs or tapes, you know, and because there wasn't enough of a market or a demand for them. So to make sure that they could continue to exist in their locations now, they really did have to consume that business. And so they were doing, I don't know if you remember, we were shipping out like 5 signs a week.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Unbelievable.
And then they started partnering and bought into Marcos.
Yep.
And they're shipping out all those Marcos. And man, by the end of it.
Remember Zoom Tan?
Yeah, I was going to say, by the end of it, we had like 5 or 6 different primary ones we were doing regular stuff for.
Yeah.
That was that was interesting times for sure. Just learning all that. Getting permits in other states, and just the whole process was a weird thing. Like, you know, me being, I'm like, I never thought I'd be doing any of this stuff.
Right. Well, and you started kind of fostering and creating that relationship with Ace and WeWork, and then you weren't around to see the fruits of that relationship, but
that was a cool one too. I was excited about that one.
Yeah, we ended up really locking in with them and becoming their primary vendor, and we were shipping out signage for them. I mean, we sent signage to Australia, to Germany, to Paris, to everywhere, and it was always our contacts in New York at the corporate office. So it was like, we were dealing with approvals and price quotes and things like that with somebody out of New York. So it just kind of made sense that they would work with us, but it put a lot of the burden on us reaching out to installers in those other places.
So you did have to reach out.
Yeah, we would still coordinate the install. So we were using translator apps and things like that. And in Australia, they're somewhere around 23 hours, 22 hours ahead of us. So, there was this lag period in time. And in Australia and New Zealand, they don't honor UL trademark.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So do you have to get something different?
We thought at first we were going to have to get a different certification process, but it turned out since we were manufacturing a one-time, custom non-standard product, we had to just make sure that we used things that were approved for, I believe it was EU, but they were so specific that we had to use an LED brand that they had documented the
specifics of them or something.
Well, the electromagnetic waves that they put off, or something. Yeah, and if there was too much of a leak of this radiation, if you will, then you couldn't use it. And I don't know if they were just worried about I don't know, but that was new, and the only LEDs we could find that actually had that rating were ones that were made in Australia.
So LEDs all over my house. I hope they're not leaking off.
You're gonna grow a second head.
I would find a deal on some LEDs, but
that would be a lot of beard if you grew a second head.
Yeah, it would be a wide beard.
And props on the beard.
And my head's huge already.
You had that beard at Ace.
I was growing it there.
Yeah. How long have you had that?
Man, it's been a while. It's funny though, because I feel like it grew fast. But
I agree. It was that long at Ace. It seemed like.
I don't remember what year that would have been. It was right after I started dating Jessica. Because our early pictures, it was very short and just real tight to my face, even shorter than yours.
Yeah, it was before your dad got sick.
Yeah. I know. I joke around. And I was like, it's okay. Someday when I'm like 45, I'll just shave it off and I'll be right back to 30 again.
Yeah, no doubt. And I can't even call this a beard compared to yours. And I'm not a real beard person. I'm like a pretend beard person. I can't. I just want to scratch my face off at all times. It's tough.
People ask me. That's the first question people ask. Is it itchy? I'm like, I don't feel like it was ever itchy.
Oh, you just forget. You block it out. It's like
what I hate now is I get this. You can see I get this indent from my mask.
Oh yeah,
it's just like a permanent indent around my face, and so like if any times like right now, like I would like, damn it, I'm filming a video today, and I had to wear my mask earlier. And it's like an indent in my beard.
You got hat head on your face.
Exactly, that's exactly what it is. It's beard mask beard. There you go.
No, I only grow this for the fun and enjoyment of shaving it off. I can't believe you've never done it.
I'm like scared to do it.
Wow.
Now my hair's so damn long. I'm gonna after winter, I'm gonna cut it off and donate it, I guess, somewhere.
Nice. Nice.
I was trying to convince Jessica that I need to turn it into a wig.
Mm-hmm. For her,
I could let you wear it a little bit. I could let my buddy Tyler wear it.
I could qualify for that. Yeah.
No, it's starting to get annoying, especially in the summertime.
The hair, the length of the hair,
yeah, it gets out of hand.
Right. It's a shame you don't know anyone that can cut hair, and be convenient for you.
Wish I could get in.
Right. Is that what it is? Are you on her list?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's very booked up.
Been on her list for 3 years.
I always give her shit about it.
Right.
And honestly, it's my fault. She's always wants to do it. And I'm like, yeah, we can do it today. And then I'm like, something came out. It's not going to work. So it's not her fault. I won't blame her too much.
You're a busy man.
I think when I left, though, I remember I had a statistic. I think it might be in my LinkedIn profile or something. But I remember I was like trying to keep track just because it was interesting. I think it was like we shipped signs to like 365 cities in like 3 countries. Or no, it was 47 states, like 365 cities in 2 countries or something. I just remember I was keeping track of that because I thought it was so interesting.
Yeah, no, Scott was looking back on something. There was a project in New York. Oh, it was a Main Street Theater that we did in New York. It was a marquee that was in New Rochelle, New York, which ironically is like the epicenter of the coronavirus for the United States. Like
really?
the first outbreak really that was widely reported was in the New Rochelle area. They had the National Guard there setting up tents, like early, like triage type stuff going on big time. Yeah, right when it first came out. But at the time, we had to give some examples of jobs that we'd done, and they specifically asked for the state of New York. And so we looked back, and he was like, "Hey, what's off the top of your head? What's the most saturated product, or account, that I can look through?" And I was like, well, Zoomtan was mainly in New York, in parts of Florida. And so he went back and looked, and he counted, and it was like we had done like 250 Zoomtans in New York State.
What's
the
it?
State
wow.
of New York. Yeah, it was like, holy cow. I don't remember that much. And I'll downplay that. It was 150. Right. But it was ridiculous.
Yeah, that was they were coming fast, man. They were demanding too. They wanted those things done and out.
Yeah.
That's how it always was. We want it done yesterday.
Yep.
It's like, oh Jesus, all right, let's figure this out.
And that relationship was one that Family Video kind of helped connect us with, because they were a tenant of Family Video, and Family Video was like, okay, yeah, we have a sign company, and then we just were like, all right, let's hustle. Let's do it.
Foster the relationship.
Yep.
Make it happen.
Fake it till you make it was what we remind ourselves.
It was interesting because I talked to randomly when I talk to people about that stuff, they find it hard to believe that like that I was involved in like the sales, just all aspects of it. Because usually a lot of times if you're like a designer or anything like even creative like that, you're like usually lack with like sales or like lack in some some of the communication. A lot of times it seems like usually like artistic or designer people are like more introverts or type of thing.
Oh, absolutely.
And I never really thought about that, I guess, until I was kind of just talking to people.
Well, I think that is of that position. That was kind of the good and the bad of it, because it was like you didn't get to exercise your creativity much in that position. You used your graphic design skills because we had to show the signage on the storefront scaled with dimensions for the city and stuff, but you never really had that opportunity in that realm to do what you do best and what you're doing now, and so
it was good. It was all good learning, though,
Oh, absolutely.
It's, sometimes I say to people, I'm like, I wonder where I'd be at if I would have left earlier. But then at the same time, it's like...
You were like 12.
Maybe I wouldn't have been, you know what I mean? I was probably not mature enough to even do anything.
I mean, right out of college, and I mean, you were young.
Yeah, because I remember, just going out and drinking on during the week, and oh man, I don't feel good today. I think I caught a little bug.
right. Yeah,
no, young stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I understand exactly what you mean, and that's kind of I
get through that phase,
and that's what you kind of lose when you start your own business. You lose that kind of supervisor. Luckily I don't have partners that I have to be accountable to. I have employees. I have colleagues, I have friends that I have to be accountable to, but that's the perspective, is that you got to be careful, because if you do that, you're going to lose that person oppressing you, telling you have to be at work whether you want to or not. But at the end of the day, I think we all kind of build that little persona in our heads, and that avatar of whoever is keeping us in line, and use that to push us. Because I felt, when we transitioned to this generation, I felt no alleviation of, responsibilities or anything like that. But I mean, I would be the first to say something like, man, I'm happy I happy I wasn't doing that at 22. My God, I'd be drinking at noon every day. Like, but no, you don't.
It's tough.
Yeah.
People think, business owner, you get to do whatever you want, work whenever you want. But it's like, I'm working all the time.
Right.
Everybody has my cell phone.
Right.
Got to start transitioning from that, but it's okay.
Yeah. No, it's I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it's not nice to be in that position, but it is. I think it is envied in a irrational way. It's glamorized maybe in an unrealistic way. Would be a better way of saying it.
Yeah. There is reward, but it's a lot of work for the reward.
Yeah. Yeah. And
how? So when did you guys take over by the business?
2 years ago in June.
So you said like kind of basically like right before the pandemic. That was probably a little bit scary.
Yeah, it was. It was just hearing that businesses were going to be shut down unless you were essential, and then it was like, well, what's essential? Like what qualifies you as essential? And there wasn't great information on that. No. And then it was. Then there was
my answer was, well, we're definitely essential.
Well, absolutely. Yeah. And could you imagine if you were deemed unessential? I mean, just the kind of drive that someone like you, an entrepreneur, a designer, an outside the box type person, the minute someone tells you you're unessential, like you're starting a new career, you're explaining to them why they're wrong. You know what I mean? Like
frustrating.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. The amount of people that had to sit back and wear that label, it's horrible. I think it's horrible. I think it's bad for the psyche, and especially, I just think it was strange. But fortunately, it was a self-ascribed label to some extent. You had to fall in lines of the categories. So like for us, we were an essential business because we were working with and part of the supply chain for other essential businesses.
I gotcha.
And so, for instance, we have not closed a day during the pandemic. We've been open. Our climate has completely changed, but nonetheless we stayed open and we made these transitions during in the midst of the pandemic. But in that time, we've been partnering with medical facilities with opening drive-through locations and providing wayfinding signage for that. We've been continuing to letter,
I saw you guys put out some different stock posters and different things for
COVID graphics that help remind people of social distancing and staying away from each other. So yeah, that was and even fast food restaurants, for instance, are essential because people need to be able to eat. Right. And so if their signage goes out or, the exterior lighting stops working, well, then they need a service repair person. Yeah. So, our service industry was obviously open from that regard. So, we could rightfully ascribe to ourselves the essential status, but you can ascribe that to yourself all day, and then you have to convince your employees of that, especially if they're a little nervous because they're not sure what the pandemic threat really is,
or if they can make more on unemployment with an extra $600 a week. I had a lot of customers who had that problem. They had people, I'm scared, but then they see them out doing stuff. You're like, you're not scared. They knew exactly why they were doing it.
No, there are a lot of people
frustrating, but whatever, I guess.
Shrouding the opportunity and with fear of illness, and then there are a lot of people that should have been afraid and stay home. If you have that, if you have a comorbidity.
Well, I was honestly at the beginning, I was very scared. I was still doing some stuff, but I was told my
you have allergies, right? I mean,
kind of.
Not so
I've
much
honestly,
anymore.
man, I've been taking. I hurt my knee. And the doctor
cured your allergies?
Well, hold on, I'll get there. I hurt my knee. That would be nice.
Would you fact check that? Link that source.
Is there a tendon in there? No, I hurt my knee, and I went to the doctor finally. So I was complaining about it so much, and I just don't like not feeling 100%. You know what I mean? So he was trying to prescribe me anti-inflammatories. Mm-hmm. Well, as you know, I'm part of Simply CBD, and I was like, well, wait a minute, what? I was like, I don't want to take a prescription drug, so I was like, CBD does reduce inflammation in the body. That's one of the main things it does that leads to all the benefits. So upped my dose. I was already taking some, but I upped my dose of it to a pretty high dose. And
CBDs.
Yeah, and I took the inflammation in my knee just went away. It was gone. And I was like, this is crazy. I was like, this feels so, I couldn't believe the difference. So I just stayed on it for a while, and I also was doing some different workouts and stuff to strengthen it and stretching. But my wife one day was like, she's like, you haven't had any allergy. Like, what? You haven't had any allergy issues this year? What's going on? I'm like,
interesting.
I was like, oh, you're right, I haven't. And like I would sit there and tissues in my nose, like trash can full of. And I realized that, and I was like, man, the only thing I've been doing different is taking CBD like at a higher strength. So I started experimenting with it, and I would stop taking it. I'd lower the strength, and as I experimented with it, I was like, this shit is. I mean, that's the only thing that's different. So I mean, I hate to say it's curing or stopping, but that was the only thing different. So ever since, I've just constantly took my.
Any idea what the mechanism would be?
So CBD in general, it reduces inflammation in the body, and inflammation leads to basically. I mean, I'm the scientist. Nobody quote me on this, but basically, some sort of inflammation leads to most issues in the body.
Absolutely. Almost everything.
Yeah, and there's an interesting video actually on our website about a doctor breaking this down. He uses it with like the scales, And he's like, with prescription drugs, you'll take this, and it'll fix this. It levels this out, but then you see over here, this scale all of a sudden bends past it. Yeah. And he just shows how that stuff, but then he just talks about how CBD kind of levels everything out based on reducing inflammation. So I don't know. It's pretty interesting. And honestly, that's why I got involved in it. My dad was sick. Yeah. I was having my friends from Colorado send stuff for him, and it helped him so much. Right. And then that's why I got involved with them. And now we just get the craziest stories, man. People just how much it's helped them, how amazing it is, how they couldn't do this or they couldn't do that. As one lady's like, my husband used to pop 7 Vicodin a day, crunch them all up in his mouth. She's like, he doesn't take any of them anymore.
Once?
Yeah. I was like, is he alive? It's like, is he? I was like, he must have a high tolerance to Vicodin.
Right.
Because that would like, if I did that, it'd like kill me.
Yeah. No, you're definitely working your way up to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the cannabinoid system, isn't that what?
Yeah,
CBDs
cannabinoid system.
Cannabinoid system.
Yeah, which I wish they'd do some more research on it. I want to know more.
how that could it does affect.
So here's what my thought was: is how the COVID, the coronavirus works, right? It causes inflammation in the lungs, and then your body overreacts to that inflammation, which causes it to swell, and that's why people can't breathe.
You're talking about like the cytokine storm where your lungs fill up with jello, basically.
Yeah, and I'm like, so if it's just inflammation in the lungs, maybe CBD helps with that. Right. I was like, I wish somebody would do some research on that. That'd really help our business.
Well, they definitely, they've linked, and that's part of my knowledge of this is learning to talk to friends and family and employees and, about concerns and whether or not they should be like, great, you've said we're essential, but maybe I shouldn't necessarily follow what you've said.
Some people are definitely at risk.
Yeah. So,
and I'm strong believers in those people. Like, play it safe. I don't want anybody dying.
And we got a lot more information now, but at the time when I was trying to kind of understand, they were talking about this virus and this novel virus because it's got this spike protein and on it, and turns out it's not the spike protein that makes it novel because all coronaviruses have a spike protein.
Yeah, you know more than me. I don't even know that much that far into it. I just kind of read that brief little bit and kind of put stuff together in my head. I'm like,
I remember it because Corona is a beer, right? So I can't forget Corona, and Corona stands for crown, they say. And,
really?
Yeah, and those spike proteins on the outside of the little virus, the little envelope is it makes it look like it's got crown on because it's just got those little spikes around it. So from that standpoint, all coronaviruses have this S spike. But what makes it novel is that this S spike also has this like little cleavage site as a part of it that makes it more transmissible, supposedly. But yeah, this little S spike thing, it is attracted to your ACE2 receptors. ACE2, angiotensin converting enzyme receptor, and you have them predominantly in your lungs and around your eyes and around your mouth. So the reason it goes and attaches and really does a lot of damage in your lungs is because of how many of those receptors you have there. And then
I was worried about having a beard.
I know.
They were like, people with beards, you're going to have to shave them off. And I'm like, not happening, man. Give me a full on.
Right. Yeah. They were, and I think people that bite their nails, like I know some people that bite their nails and they got it. And I was like, I'm not surprised, but,
everything.
But yeah, no,
I think from a positive side, I feel like people are more aware of like just washing hands, spreading germs. Like,
it's like people were learning about how viruses transmit for the first time. Like literally, it was like you didn't know that could stay alive on a surface, or not alive because it's not alive. But that could stay, viable on a surface for a long period of time. Yes, it would stay there forever.
It'd keep you on your toes.
Yeah.
Well, that's good that you guys pulled through it,
Yeah, no, everybody, we all of our office staff worked from home.
Yeah, that's what we did for a while.
Everyone that could work remotely, worked remotely. And then we, welders can't really work remotely, but we're blessed with a large facility so that they were social distancing at the time. And, and we were constantly trying to learn and, talk to them about it. And I think everyone kept their circle small, and like, this is the first time I've been out in a while.
For my wife and I, it actually was like good timing for us just because we have a baby, a new baby.
Yep.
And we're like, all right, we can't go do anything anyway.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of people that have, obviously when life deals you with a situation, you got to make the best of it.
Right.
But I do feel like there's a lot of people that have maybe gotten too comfortable with the lack of socialness and, I've seen the different behaviors.
I just like being out, talking to people. And,
a lot of people that are that way aren't necessarily anymore, and that scares me.
Especially with business and stuff. Yeah. Like, I'm in a networking group, and we do it all like Zoom now. Mm-hmm. But it's just like, I don't know. I don't feel like it's the same.
No, there's a human-to-human connection that goes on there. But at least you're in the office and you're collaborating.
Right.
And, there are people that are solely working from home, and I feel like and if that works for them, great. I think a lot of businesses are learning they can save a lot of money closing some brick and mortar facilities and letting their people work from home, and hey, if that works out, great. But I do feel like there are a lot of people that are going to be required to go back, and the longer they don't,
and
the harder it's going to be.
And like creative stuff and like stuff that it's just the teamwork, like it just seems so much better, like being together and having interaction and knowing everyone's on what page they're on and just easily being able to ask somebody something.
That's why I really enjoy having partners and family that I can trust that to work with at ACE, because I've never had an idea that after I shared with them and collaborated with didn't turn out better, after the conversation.
Change a little bit, perfect,
absolutely.
And that is one thing tough, me by myself, I talk to my brother sometimes, he's got a lot of experience with stuff, but mostly it's just figuring it out. I have some people I talk to or will ask questions to sometimes, but trying to figure things out sometimes, or make a decision, like a scary decision,
Yes.
It's like, I guess I just got to write down the negatives and positives here and decide on my own.
Yeah. No, that's a lot of pressure. I'm fortunate not to have to worry about that. If I was relied to be the person that renewed our insurance at Ace Sign Company, we would probably go without insurance after year one. That's my background is operations, and so that's where my focus is, and I don't need to
worry about that.
I expand my awareness to the other situations when I'm required to.
And that's basically my involvement in the other businesses I'm involved in. I work on the marketing side and branding, like my specialty. And if I got to get involved on the other stuff, I will. But I try to let other people run the other stuff.
I heard you talking about being a part of that small cakes in Florida. And I thought, oh my goodness, how in the world are you a part owner of a business in Florida? I don't even understand that.
Yeah, that was really random. So a lot of connections.
Yeah.
We do work for small cakes in Springfield and in Champaign. Well, the one in Springfield. The one of the owners of it, is my accountant.
Okay.
And he was my accountant before he was an owner. But he got involved with them, and him and some other people ended up becoming partners with all of them. But he got me involved. I was, he saw how, what we were doing. We were doing well, so he gave us a shot. And he literally said to me, like 4 or 5 months later, he's like, "How long does it typically take for like someone to see results from the stuff you're doing?" And I was like, honestly, it just depends on the customer, what it is, what they're doing. And he's like, "Cause
from a
just marketing in general, yeah." And I said, I don't know. Typically I would say like 2 or 3 months, I guess. He's like, because it's been like 4 months, and in the it had been 5 months at that point. He said in the last like 2 months, our business is up 40%. And he's like, literally, the only thing we've changed is hire you guys. And I was like, all right, well, my price is going up.
Right. No, I'm just joking. Testament.
No, I'm just joking. But
so he saw the value.
Yeah.
Of,
so he actually
as a partner at that point, obviously.
Yeah, and he was going to move down to Florida.
You got time?
And I'll have another one.
Are we 2 hours in?
Yeah, we're about an hour.
Yeah. Ryan, this one I tried to open earlier and it didn't open all the way, and I didn't want to stick my finger through it and open it. So
he said he said he was going down to Florida, and he was trying to coordinate opening. He wanted to buy an existing one down there from the existing owner down there. And he was putting together a group of people for that. And he was going to, he's like, I want you to handle the marketing. He's like, we'll fly you down there once a quarter, get all the content you need, whatever.
Wow.
And then it just ended up, after talking about it, working it out, it was just a better option on both sides if we just partnered with them. So it's been great. We're down there is weird because it's a tourist place, so their sales aren't super high in off season.
We go to Destin every year.
Yeah, so their sales aren't super high like in off season, but then in peak season they get real high. Well, the existing owner never really did any marketing at all, so I was like, oh shit, we're going to turn this around quick. So in off season, we've only had it for a couple months now, and the first month our sales were up 15%. And like the next month they're up like 20, and from the previous owner in the previous year, and now they're up like 25%. We're not even to the prime season, you know what I mean? So that's pretty cool, and hopefully
cool. And that's during the
keeps
pandemic.
Trending. Yeah, also during part of that. Yeah,
we had a vacation there booked, a rental house that once they enforced the lockdowns and the travel bans, Florida only did it for a few weeks, I think, but once Illinois did it, then they said, all right, we'll let you rebook it, because they weren't going to let us rebook for a while. So I know firsthand that, that would affect, a business in that area. But talking about like the decisions, and that sometimes is a little scary. You're making that big decision, then you think about you also in the back of your mind knowing that you're a part owner of a business in Florida, a part owner of a business down here. Like, holy moly, I don't know how you sleep.
Well, again, for me, the only reason I've involved in those is because they work into what we're already doing.
Your relationship with it, and then you turn the operations to somebody else. If I had to
worry about all the other bullshit, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So each person plays a strategic role. That's part of it. Right. So it's worked out good. And honestly, I think in the future there's going to be more opportunities like that. And it's honestly a better route because we're invested in it. So we have that much more desire to grow it. A lot of customers don't have the budgets to be on every social media platform and have us do everything. But it's important to do all that stuff.
How many posts a day should the average retail business make?
It's going to depend on your industry, but I would recommend like one post a day.
Really? I thought you were going to say 7 or 8.
No, there's a point where it becomes too much.
Yeah, people block you or something.
Yeah, and sometimes like Facebook, I think, and I don't know this for sure, but I think they punish you if you post too much. You also don't want to drown out old posts. Now, there are people, though, that sell stuff, online, and they're they're posting stuff multiple times a day, selling like the boutique over here. What's the name of that boutique? Do you know what that's called over there? Eye Candy? Eye Candy. And I don't know. I'm not in the group or whatever, but I just hear from people that like they are selling stuff like crazy. Really? Like they have a Facebook group and they do these they'll post like flash sales in there, and I guess they're just. I don't know how much in business they do, but what I've heard is they're selling a ton of stuff over there.
Well, I could see where if you're posting specific posts to highlight product versus if you're just posting to highlight the business, you know what I mean? Like that, I could see where that's totally different. If you're saying, look at this top, we got 3 sizes, 4 of each, get it now. You know, people are going to appreciate that if they're fans of your product versus if you're just saying, you know, hey, look, we can do this for you. Yeah. Hey, look, we can also do this for you.
A lot of our customers, we post about 3 times a week for them.
Okay. On all medias.
It depends. Yeah. You know, we usually add on. We'll give them a quote and then put like optional add-ons if they want us to add on other you know, options as far as like, you know, primarily we're on Facebook, Instagram with people, but if they want to add on like posting to TikTok or posting their videos to YouTube or posting their Google business listing. That's a big one people should do. Post to their Google business listing because people find you on Google.
I didn't know
and
that.
You know, pictures and
Well, that's scary. You know, they control that navigation towards their customers. Right. I shouldn't say you know that.
But right. So
this video is now going to get blocked.
Taken down. No,
false statement. Google is honorable.
That is the I always say that's probably about the, you know, second place, like post to your Google business listing, because it doesn't directly say that it helps you, but it's Google. Like if you're posting to them, giving them interaction, business, like I assume that's probably going to relate to you somehow.
Every question I have that I can't ask a human, I ask Google.
Yeah, so
I do. I downloaded the DuckDuckGo app.
Yeah,
you know, and I try to use that every now and then.
I just did a concealed carry class, and that's what they suggested to use.
Really?
DuckDuckGo. They're like, they don't track you. Use DuckDuckGo.
That's scary.
The guy and the teacher is pretty funny. He's like, yeah, and then he suggested some crazy mail system. I'm like, man, these guys are really. I've just embraced it at this point. I'm like, they're tracking me, whatever.
Yeah, I know. There's a level of.
I feel like you should get paid though. Like, I feel like they should like do something. I don't know what it is, but I know like the Tim Cook or whatever was talking about like forming some sort of database where you could literally, they have to register all the information like they have about you, and then you can go see like who has what information about you, which would be pretty crazy.
I have a hard time believing that my data is being sold to anybody. I don't disbelieve that my data is being used to better market certain products to me, which honestly I appreciate that. You know, if there was just some quiz I could go in and save them the time. Like, y'all don't got to underhandedly track me. Just ask me a whole bunch of questions. I'll fill them out, and then you can show me all the stuff I want to make my life
spend
easier.
As much money as possible.
Yeah, well, I'd like to think I'm not influenced to that extent, but
it is good though. I mean,
it's awareness.
The thing that creeps me out though is like the talking. Like if you talk about something
and then you see your thing flashing.
So I never really like believe that. I'm like, you probably search for something.
Oh, and then you see on Facebook.
Ads. So like, but Ryan and I will talk about like betting, like sports betting or something, and then all of a sudden Holly's phone is like giving her sports betting ad, and she never looks at anything sports. You know what I mean? So it's just like obvious at that point. It's like, that is just crazy to think about. It's so weird though, because it's like,
that's the level of getting to know you. That, you know, and that is a problem to some extent, because some could say that the reason that we're so polarized as a country right now, you're either on the far right or the far left, and no one's moderate or in the middle, is because we're stuck in this like positive feedback loop where, you know, everyone's just regurgitating, finding the same information from the same people, and just the algorithm is recognizing that
because it just wants them to stay on it longer.
Yes,
it's all about staying on the platform.
They
longer.
Really engage with this person, so that person. Well, the reason they're engaging is because they got a lot in common, per se. You know?
Or they're arguing.
Right. Yeah. So that is kind of a scary aspect of it, of that listening part. But the good aspect in my mind is, get to know me, help me out. You know, don't advertise something to me in Florida. Right, I live in Illinois,
and I
want you to know
that's
that.
What we do.
Yeah, unless
we advertise to people traveling to Florida, to Destin.
Okay,
you literally do. I don't know how they know. I've never researched that. Maybe they see you bought plane tickets or something. But like for Cupcakes will people traveling to hit them. Visit Dustin Small Cakes while you're here.
Well, there aren't too many. There's a lot. I shouldn't say there aren't too many, but it probably wouldn't be a huge list to find all the property management people down there, because like when we go down there, we'll always rent a house for a week or something, and we'll use the same business.
That was the first thing I said. I was like, find all the property management companies, give them coupons for free cupcakes to leave in all their houses.
We use Crown Reef, I think it is, and we try to always stay in a home.
I think they're not owners. I think there's 3 big ones down there.
Yeah, could you imagine if they like put your little?
That's what I said. I was like, just give them like 1 free cupcake, and there's going to be like 4 people in the place, so one person goes there and everybody wants one. I was like, it'll be worth it.
I'm sure everybody from a marketing level has tried to coerce that crowd.
I don't know. I haven't touched base with how that's gone. I think they're busy just taking things over right now, but that is the direction we're trying to get some stuff.
Yeah, no, that'd be
it's funny though, because coming to the point that I'm at, honestly, being an ace helped push me there with the Super Bowl letters.
Yeah.
And doing that video.
Oh my gosh, you go to New York. You're so brave.
Well, just filming the video.
I wasn't going there. The manufacturing video. That is an awesome video.
Filming the video, editing it, putting that whole thing together, and then honestly, like when we had that party, and there was like, I think like the mayor there was just a lot of people there. You know, you guys, Dennis knew everybody, he was involved with everybody, and there was just a lot of people there, and so many people came up to me because you guys, gave me credit for doing it and said, that video was amazing. That was awesome. This was great.
Right.
There's even some people, like I remember somebody was like, man, you missed your calling.
Right.
I'm like, shit, I'm only 20 something.
Yeah.
But
don't write me off yet.
Yeah. But then doing that and realizing how much I really did like video, and seeing where social media was going with video.
Right.
Is why, and with my dad passing away, I was like, oh, I need to change.
Right.
But that was like the final push. But I just saw that opportunity there, and with Springfield always being a little bit behind on things, that's kind of where I was like, all right, I'm going to do this.
That I think there's a leap that occurs when people go out on their own. That leap can be scary enough that it probably deters a large percentage of people from starting their own business. And I think that, the very admirable thing that you did, taking time off, taking a leave of absence to help your dad and to take care of him, you continued working during that time, and because you had some side business going on with videos, and I remember you sound editing even, helping my wife out,
that was funny.
Yeah, I mean,
so
but your talent shined at all those things, and so when that tragedy kind of took you away, and then you continued to make money, I think that made that leap that is scary for so many people a little bit easier because you'd proven to yourself that you could do it.
Yeah, I had a couple of random little customers, I guess, I did some stuff for.
Yeah, and the video, I think visual communications in general, whether it's signage, whether it's those numerals that they came to see and they were just astounded by them, or whether it was the video that you made that they were astounded by, which was absolutely amazing. The way that you edited it to sound and everything, it was just very upbeat, fun video. And I think that seeing the way that visual communications impact people, and watching that their reaction to it, and just being, for you to be able to be there when we dimmed the lights and played that video and stuff, and for you to see the way that people reacted, I'm sure that was very inspiring for you
exactly.
to show.
Just getting that recognition, because it was I remember it was so cool, doing sign designs and knowing people were seeing them every day.
Right.
But nobody knew I did it. Right. And I mean, I don't want to be like selfish, like, oh, look at this sign. It's not that, but it's more just like that was so cool to know that. And then like video almost took it to another level, because you're seeing like a story or more of a thing, and it was just cool to know.
But you were
people
behind the camera then. I mean, you were were totally behind it. So like it wasn't an ego thing, because nobody knew that you created the ego then either. I think it impacted you in a different way, because you knew that the signage aspect, I mean, it's such a team aspect. You know what I mean? There's such a team involvement. You know, you got a welder that works on it, shifts it to a sheet metal guy that works on it, shifts it to a paint guy that works on it, shifts it to the lighting guy that works on it. You know,
so many hands touch it.
What they call like a hybrid manufacturing facility. So we've got different trade little houses set up within there, and the sign kind of moves around the different trades, and so there is no, even if you're the salesperson or the estimator or the designer, there's no like outside of the team proudness, there is no like great personal pride, you know, outside of we're just all proud together. But when you're watching that video, while the video content may be something that you're not 100% responsible, the video itself, you are 100% responsible for.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and that is
not always now.
Feeling.
Not always now so much though. I got I got a team that works on stuff with me.
How hard is that for you?
It's hard to let go of stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? As you try to let people do other things.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm sure.
And even like, you know, Ryan, we had somebody else that started with us, and they were doing stuff that he was doing. And he was like, man, it's kind of hard to like let them do this. Yeah. And I'm like, think about me having to let you guys do it.
It's so hard. It's so hard.
It's,
and as a business owner, you know, I've cloned myself more times at Ace than ever, and pretty soon you kind of clone yourself out of a position, you know, and it's like that's a challenging thing to find, like that drive, you know, that like, okay, you know,
we've
now
kind of talked about that before.
It's tough, and it's hard to write yourself into a process once you clone yourself out of it. So it's like that's the biggest thing as a business owner. You don't want your staff, your colleagues, your friends, your family to learn from their own mistakes, because there's not efficiency in that. There's not, you know, that's going to hurt at the bottom line. That's going to hurt what there is for us all to reap from, you know. So you want to be able to share your knowledge at every step, but you can't be right in the middle of everything. Yeah. So, you know, when you quote clone yourself, you got to step out of it and just hope that they come to you. Hope that they come to you when there's that situation that might be new to them. But
I'm still talking. I'm just going to check something. So keep talking.
Yep. Oh, he's going to use the bathroom.
No. I just want to check our battery situation.
Yep.
No, it's all. I completely.
Yeah. No. But figuring out how to write yourself into a process where you're not micromanaging and all, and that's fortunately right now at Ace we're blessed with just so many talented people that they.
How many people you guys got over there now? About.
Between 50 and 60, I think, right now. It is crazy. That's why I stumbled a little bit saying that. But I don't ever see everybody all at once. Right. You know what I mean? Like the installers are out on job sites, servicemen are out, you know, welders are in this area, and graphics are in this area.
Do you remember everybody's name?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm the worst with names. I can't imagine
being
in charge of them, and people are like, okay, what the come here.
Well, we have so many that have been with us for such a long time. True, yeah. You know, there are some that worked there before I did.
I was working at Mitsubishi the other day, and I saw Amy Rourke come in there.
No kidding.
She's like, Andrew. I was like, oh, what's up? I didn't realize that was you. That was pretty funny.
No, she's. I think she's kind of followed her passion. I talked to Coach Rourke not too long ago, and he was talking about how she was always a good writer.
Yeah, that's what she was talking about. Yeah, she likes doing. Yep. So just because I'm scared of this camera battery dying here, let's revisit this question.
Oh, no.
Hardest part of being a small business owner?
Hardest part? Well.
What would you say? I know there's a lot of parts.
Yeah, well, it's whatever lens you want to view it through. Like from a operations view, but for me, honestly, it's
overall when you and Scott and Todd are talking about something like, God, this is just such a pain in the butt.
I'll tell you, I'll give you an answer, and then I'll drive in and get more specific, but I'll give you a vague answer because I have thought about this question, hearing you ask it to others, and it's managing the set of all problems properly and updating it and making sure that you're not missing out on anything, to me, is the biggest challenge of being a small business owner. It's because there is no
So you mean the challenge. Multiple problems?
Well, yeah, because what is a priority problem to you is not the same priority problem that it is to the installer that's working out on this truck that the brakes aren't working on. Because what's a more important thing than making sure those brakes work?
Yeah, you know, and that question probably even more so to you guys with so many different aspects of stuff.
And I think that every business owner is managing the set of all problems is the biggest challenge, and making sure that it's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Making sure that the most important thing that is essential to life is on the base, the lowest strata of that hierarchy, that pyramid, and then
doing that properly.
Yeah, doing that properly, making sure that you don't have something in that lowest strata that should be in the top. Because maybe to me, after I've cloned myself and I'm not service manager right now, and I'm not national accounts manager, and I'm not the welding manager on the floor, telling everyone, now all of a sudden my priority is getting the roof, taken care of. And if I just push everything off and focus on the roof only, well, then so many things are going to suffer. And not only that, your culture's going to take a hit because people don't think you care, or your focus isn't where it should be. So that's why, to me, the most paramount, challenge is the balancing of all those. And honestly, you framed the question a little more for me, and like me and Todd and Scott are sitting around there. That's really what the conversation becomes from, because from my point of view, my lens,
different priorities.
It's different priorities than it is from Todd's, and it's different priority than it is from Scott's. And so when we're talking about those things, rarely do we get the opportunity to just, I'm just going to drop my problem, Todd's going to drop his problem, and we're all going to focus on Scott's. Yeah. Like, I wish it was necessarily that way, but a lot of times we're bantering to make sure that we all share the same.
I was going to say, at least maybe you could divide and conquer a little bit with having three.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's the goal is to make sure that, whatever solution, something every single day, that something gets better. You know what I mean? That we make some small movement towards better in every realm, in every strata.
How has the transition been from basically to being the owner versus previously, when technically you weren't? I mean, obviously someday you're gonna be, but yeah. Does it still seem pretty similar to where it was,
yes
or did it seem like a slow thing just anyway? Because
no, it came quicker than I expected. Yeah. Honestly, like I figured because my family doesn't retire. Grandpa still comes in.
Yeah.
COVID, he doesn't come in as much, but yeah, I mean he's in his mid 90s and he's still coming into the shop. So I did not expect to be in this position now, and honestly, it kind of. In hindsight, looking back at it, my goals suffered a little bit, because my goal was always to someday be an owner, and so that, unbeknownst to me, was like the paramount thing. It was always like, man, if I was an owner, we wouldn't be doing that, and man, if I was an owner, because again, there's that oppressor over top of you, and so you just want to fight to get out from under that, and and plus. Not that anyone in my family is a villain, but a villain is a very powerful thing for a person to have. There's a drive. That's why competition is so it creates so much inertia behind every goal that you have.
Even in family, there's competition.
Yeah.
Competition's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, as long as it's like you're trying to take not tear somebody else down, but do good.
And I mean, in family, they call it, I think, fracticidal or fracticide is basically the challenges within a family or an organization. Yeah, it's a big deal. I mean, some of the most ancient stories we have that most of our stories are derived from are about family on family. Like the first two humans born on Earth, one of them killed the other, Cain and Abel. You know what I mean? Like is it family on family, the genesis that? And I'm not saying that I believe that all word and tongue. I don't want to, but those stories have been around forever, and there's a reason. There's truth in them, and people think, oh, you work for family, that's just easy. Like, okay, but honestly, that the challenges of family.
I know a lot of people that work for their family or family business, and it's just, I mean, I've had people reach out to me like, man, it's not going good over here. You got any positions open? You know what I mean? But then I talk to them later, and they're like, yeah, we worked it out. Yeah. And I think in a relationship, in business, whether it's owners or employees and owners or wife and husband, communication is so big, and people are so afraid to communicate.
That is the number one.
I always say, and I mean it every time I say it. I'm like, tell me how you feel. Yeah. If you don't like something I'm doing, let's talk about it. Let me justify it.
Good for you. That's such a. And it sounds like a simple thing to say. That is such a sophisticated mentality. It is Good for you. Not too many people understand that. It's so important.
We lost my camera. Which one did we lose? Corey's? Cory's down.
That's okay.
All right.
I'm still here. I'm still here. I know, you're probably going to have a lot of viewers drop off because I
can't see your beautiful face.
Yeah. No, but let me go back to my answer. I think the most what was different for me the most is that man, if I was owner, I'd do this. Becoming owner and then losing that statement, and now there isn't anything necessarily. Now, granted, I have partners, which I like because I don't want to just implement my ideas because, again, my ideas are always better when I collaborate and I share them. But at the same time, the reality is that things don't move quickly. Like you could walk in the front door tomorrow and be like, damn, we need a new rug here. You ain't going to get a new rug in 5 minutes. It's not just you're not going to snap your fingers just because you're a business owner and there's a new rug going to be there.
2 days Amazon Prime. No,
yeah. That's when you get around to ordering it. Now you got to get around to ordering it. Or if you want to delegate that to somebody, they're going to come back with like 5 questions on what kind of rug that you want.
Yep.
It's like nothing.
My wife would be the first one to protest that I'm not getting anything done quickly when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah, and so I don't think I realized that that's as much life as it is. It's not just being an employee, or it's not because you have a supervisor, or it's not because you're not an owner. That's just life. Yeah. There's an inexhaustible amount of complexity in everything, and nothing just happens in the snap of a finger. And that was one of the hardest things to kind of recognize. But again, too, my most paramount goal is gone. Like now I am an owner.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
now what?
Figure out what's next.
Now what? Now I got to set a
hitting
new
those
goal.
New milestones.
Yeah.
New sales milestones. New business levels. What's next?
What's next?
What is the next goal?
We're continuing
get through COVID and then determine what's next.
I'm going to create a new vaccine. Just continue to upgrade equipment and capabilities. We
keep up with the times.
Metal Decor was a local business that closed not too long ago, and they made a lot of plaques and nice little fine, up close viewing type products. So we bought a lot of equipment from them, like a laser etching machine, so we can laser etch your firearm.
Yeah.
Now, and little things like that.
That's neat.
Yeah, it'll do like Tervises and stuff, but we got it for plaques.
Right.
I'm looking at all the little things I can do.
Yeah, I remember you used to always have to kind of subcontract some of that stuff.
Yeah,
it's always nice when you can bring it in house.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So that's probably the most new edge thing, and we've become a what do you call it? A venue now.
Yeah. For those that don't know, man, they have an awesome what do you guys call it? Sign museum.
It's a sign museum. And then when we give tours throughout the day, when
go
we're
check it
up,
out for sure. If nobody's seen it, they got cool stuff in there.
It's crazy how many people.
You got the little
museum.
Spike from the hotel.
Yeah,
what was it called?
We got the little COVID-19 SARS coronavirus thing out there. I never thought about that. Thank you.
Where's it?
Yeah,
what hotel was it though? The Bel Air
that came down from the Bel Air.
Bel Air. Yeah, they got all kinds of different.
We got all kinds of stuff, but we do a venue rental to where we'll move all the equipment out, and it's about 150 people are able to set up in there and have catering. That's cool. And so it's that's been fun.
We definitely burned through some time today. Good conversation, man. We didn't even get into a lot of stuff, so we're gonna have to do this again. We didn't get to look at any examples or anything.
It's because I brought the alcohol. Derailed everything.
No, it was good, man. Always good chatting with you. It's been a long time since we got to catch up. Yep. Anybody out there? Signs, graphics, primary things, building signs, pole signs, vehicle graphics, custom cut metal. Like you guys got a laser cutter, right? Laser
cutting machine.
So they can manufacture basically any kind of sign.
A big thing now is trying to bring continuity between the exterior and interior signage. Do that full scale branding
for sure.
Yep. Congratulations to you, Andrew.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for coming on.
Yep, it's great to see you. Ryan,
appreciate it.
You'll be posting sources to everything, I'm sure.
Linking below. No, we'll link there. I'm sure everybody here has heard of a sign company, but we'll link their website, link some of their social media. Go check them out. They do some really cool stuff. Like I said, we did the Super Bowl letters while I was there. They're doing some really cool marquees, all kinds of neat stuff all over the country and world.
Yep.
So, Cory, really appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you for having me.
We'll do it again.
All right.